Hey everyone, welcome to the cabin. My name's Alec Britz, and today we're talking about the Color Duo by DIY Recording Equipment. This is a novel situation over here where we have two fully featured microphone preamplifiers, a tonal palette of 3 cards per channel, which can vary from console emulation all the way through to distortion, compression, high and low pass filters, and a wide variety more. I've got a favor to ask. If you wouldn't mind sharing this video with somebody who you think would enjoy it. If that's too much, then please consider subscribing, or if you'd like to support me to upload more consistently, then consider dropping a super thanks. DIY Recording did send these units and these modules to me. They have not seen this video and will not see it until you do, so that will not affect this review in any way, shape or form. If we zoom out for a second and go into the microphone preamplifiers, these are fully transparent, super quiet microphone preamplifiers that do such a great job on things that need to retain detail, such as upright piano, acoustic guitar, and I've really enjoyed them on the voice as well. I think it's important that they are super wide open and transparent because this box is designed to inject color into things. For the features of the microphone preamplifier, we have our input gain, then we have 48 volt phantom power, phase reversal, a low cut, and a pad. Then we have our color button, which activates our color palette of our 3 different modules, and then a mic line switch. Next to that, we have our color section. The color section is broken down into a few components. The first is our 3 potentiometers, which again is a dual gang pot that adds and decreases volume at the same time to be able to drive each of the color modules inside of it. Then above that, we have our LED. By turning it on, this engages that specific module within the palette itself, and that's repeated 3 times. And then after that, we have our trim control to ensure level matching with all your processing that you're doing. Next to that, we have our blend control. On the rear of the device, it's all pretty simply laid out. We have our power input over here, then we have our power through. With one of the external power bricks, you can power up to 4 of these devices. We have our outputs, which are on XLR and TRS. We have our mic inputs and our line inputs, and each of these XLRs feels really nice and strong and sturdy when you plug things in and plug things out. Let's jump into the draw system here for a second. You would think it would feel quite flimsy because it's this like circuit board that needs to push in, but underneath the actual circuit board itself, there's a nice strong metal casing, and then they've designed these rails that as you push in lines up perfectly with the multi-connectors. The multi-connectors of course supply power and everything else to ensure that the module works exactly as it should. Each of the switches feels really good on the draw. Each of the potentiometers is stepped and feels really well built. These circuit boards are laid out in a beautiful spaced out manner, not just because it looks right and is easy to repair in the future, but you can also buy any of these modules to build yourself. And that separates this company from everybody else. An interesting design philosophy that the guys at DIY Recording have done, each of these modules and the way that it works is completely open source, so different manufacturers can hop in on it. So in the case of like Avanson Audio or Louder Than Liftoff, they've made their own modules here that fit perfectly into the system. It would be great to see other manufacturers hopping in on this for them to be able to experiment with things that don't necessarily line up with their catalog, but would work perfectly well in this format. Okay. We've got a lot to get through today, so the first thing we want to do is test out the mic pre's. Everything you are about to hear was recorded just with these microphone preamplifiers.
Divided from the warmth of your embrace, tried to distract myself with the memories that we made. Be back, it's hard to know just when. Overthinking seems to be our setting. When my heart is on the table, I hope when logic fails, am I willing or just able to justify the pain? I didn't know it was the last time that I would see your face. I didn't know it was the last time.
So DIY Recording has sent me 9 modules, these 6, and a pair of each of these. For our first example, I want to highlight the 15 IPS on kick and snare. instant vibe, a little bit of saturation. The next example I want to show you is the 15 Ips on bass. Once again, just tightens up that bottom end in a really beautiful and effortless way. I find the kind of saturation I'm getting out of this is not exactly like a tape plugin, but it does something that my Porta Studio does really well, and it's kind of amplify the bottom end, but at no way does it make it feel like super bloaty. The next module we're going to be testing out is the Avanson Audio, the Smash compressor. What's really cool about this is there is a release setting potentiometer on the board. This is the drum crush. I'm going to play the drum bus by itself, and then I'm going to slowly edge in with our drum crush. You know when they fold steel to make swords? This is what that compression feels like. For this next example, I want to highlight the CTX. The CTX is kind of a really cool emulation of an American style console. We've got that op amp, we've got the transformer. I've got it on the drum bus over here, and let's take a listen to what it's doing. It is filling up some of the lower frequencies, bringing the drum kit sound forward. But of course, you twisted people want to see how far we can push this, don't you? Don't you? My trick is to get it to the point where I hear the distortion or feel like it's too much, and then click it back just one click. When I do that on a bunch of things in a mix, then my RMS of the mix climbs up very nice and easily, while my meters are not clipping at all. So it works very well with transient stuff, but let's hear what it does on something like a piano. Yeah, it just adds a really nice amount of energy. We have the Distorter Studio. Now, when I recorded the electric guitars for this, I used a broadcast pedal and I used the Echo Dream 2, which both have fuzz, but I didn't quite get the top end on the fuzz that I was looking for. Now I don't need to worry about that because the Distorter Studio is just gonna do the thing. Beautiful fuzz, just arriving. Another use for the Distorter Studio for me is how I use my Porta Studio. I've got a 244 that's on my parallel drum bus, and I have it as a send for my drums to add energy, and let's see what this Distorter Studio does in that case. So I'm only using a small amount of it, but immediately the drums are like thrust forward and they get this low mid like energy, almost like a toughness. Let's listen to the crush just by itself. Like with all these things, a little bit goes a long way, of course. This is the FA38. This is based on a British console that was used by Bowie. The EQ that usually resides on it is on sliders. What I am hearing is this beautiful opening up of whatever I put it on, and I'm so excited for you to hear it.
I didn't know it was the last time that I would see your face. I didn't know it was the last time. I didn't know it was the distance that would get us in the end. I didn't know it was the last time.
Can you hear there's like that little bit of like raspiness? It kind of opens it up just a touch. Let's take a listen to it on acoustic guitars. Just pulls everything forward. Let's take a listen to this on electric guitars and see exactly what the heck is going on here. I reckon we can get a bit more fuzz out of that guitar. Let's give that a go. It is a touch louder, of course, but it is also a lot more full and a lot more present, which is exactly what we're going for. Alrighty, next up we're going to be trying out the JFT module. So if you hit it hard, it distorts very aggressively, but if you use it subtly, you can add a bit of energy to something like the acoustic guitars you're about to hear. Again, it just pushes them a little bit forward into the mix.
I didn't know it was the last time that I would see your face. I didn't know it was the last time. I didn't know it was the distance that would get us in the end. I didn't know it was the last time.
It's just a bit more together. It doesn't feel as bright, and obviously I'm tuning them quite aggressively here. So this is helping iron out some of my mistakes by using saturation in a really beautiful way. Let's hit the pants off of some bass. The next module we're going to be talking about is the Mojo Maestro. So we have two different types of distortion. We have glue and we have Mojo, and then we have symmetrical distortion or asymmetrical distortion. Let's take a listen. Now, let's hit the snot out of it. So the next module I want to talk about is the TM79, and as we can see over here, there's these two quite chunky transformers sitting in the front here. This is a saturation device that's not really emulating anything. It's its own beast. What you might notice on my I/O plugin is I've decreased the output volume from my interface by 10 decibels and increased the input volume by 10. I've just given myself a little bit more headroom to play with so that I can see where the sweet spot is. Let's see what this does on the vocals.
I didn't know it was the last time that I would see your face. I didn't know it was the last time. I didn't know it was the distance that would get us in the end. I didn't know it was the last time.
For the next example, we're going to be going into the tone lock 2. This is the emulation of the level lock. The reason I've got it out of its case is because there's what's called a solderless jumper on this guy. And it's right at the top of the circuit over here. And basically, you pull off this little piece over here with your hands, and you see we've now exposed these little pins over here. And then you can change the release settings by changing the internal jumper, which is a really lovely touch, I think. I prefer it in the slightly slower position. Super thick and a little bit saturated. If I fade it in to the actual drum bus, just squelchy mono goodness right down the center. Remember, what you are hearing is completely clean mic pre's, and we're adding in this character as we go. Let's see what happens when we blend the bass crush right into the normal bass guitar. Now, the magic with the color duo is that if we were tracking this bass for this example, I may well have blended in some of that on the mix control while tracking. So that's the color duo. I think this is a really interesting product. I really enjoy the way that everything is kind of integrated and works all together. I like the fact that you're not tied down to one sound. And as your tastes change, so can your modules. One of the things I wish was added to the color duo was a jack input to the front of the device. Although I don't know where exactly they would fit it. After having pulled the drawer out and having a look at it, I just don't know if it's possible. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say, because if you don't like something with the way it sounds, you can literally change it out for anything else. Do yourself a favor and go onto the DIY Recording YouTube channel. Some of the earlier videos, the head of the company goes through some like signature designs over the years and kind of breaks down exactly how the different circuits work. These videos have been integral to me. I remember watching them for the first time a few years ago and then watching them again recently during the making of this video, and just touching on that stuff again kind of reaffirmed a lot of the knowledge I did have, but it again taught me a whole bunch of stuff I did not know. So something that's pretty cool, I don't know if you noticed it, but during the video, the way that we got these modules to stay upright, I had an idea for a 3D printed stand to be able to hold all 9 modules. And I got in touch with my brother, I explained to him what I wanted, and literally the next day he showed up with this really cool piece of kit. Thought you might like that. I hope you guys are all doing alright, and that you're looking after yourselves and you're being kind. I'll see you in the next video.